Hello, welcome to Virtually Unbreakable podcast. My name is Ella and I'm your host. And today we have a special guest, Dominika Kalinowska. Dominika is a certified hypnotherapist, psychologist, and an author. She works with people one-to-one and is helping them with releasing emotions as well as is an expert in EFT tapping. And together with Dominika, today we are going to be discussing a very inspiring and important topic, which is releasing emotions from our body. Dominika, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm really good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so grateful to be here. So many thank you, Ella, for inviting.
No, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you for your time. So, Dominika, I hope I didn't miss something in the introduction bit. You are a psychologist and a hypnotherapist, and you
That's
work
correct.
with people as one-to-one coaching, and you help them with releasing, among other things, releasing stuck emotions and regaining that inner balance and peace, right?
True,
In
yeah.
the body.
Yeah,
Who do you mostly work with? Can you tell me more about your clients?
of course, yes. I normally work with women. Women are usually very drawn to me. They come to me with all sorts of problems. I recently had so many clients with issues like anxiety or stress. Everyone is stressed nowadays. I can sense that
Mm,
everyone has some emotional triggers. Triggers are a big part of being a human, but also many people don't know how to deal with those emotions. They usually
yeah,
distract themselves. They usually go onto social media or other bits, or they drink, or they go into addictions. But actually, it's really
totally. Yeah.
to approach this in a way that is practical to know how to deal with those emotions. But yeah, my clients are coming with all sorts of things like eating habits, anxiety, stress, femininity, women's issues, sexual issues as well. There is lots about eating habits like anorexia and obesity, and yeah, it's quite a variety of different
Right,
problems.
I see. Yeah. A big
But
variety of problems. Which one seems to be
yeah,
most common one?
boundaries and women issues. So saying no, setting healthy boundaries for women, because we are all learned to be good girls in a way.
Yeah.
And we have to learn how to say no. And those sexual issues that are usually coming with the boundaries issues.
Right. Right. I see. Wow. Okay. And great. And today we're talking about EFT tapping as one of the methods for releasing emotions. And just to give a little bit intro at the start here, I just want to say that I'm someone who has tried regular EFT tapping, among other things that I do as my morning routine. And I can honestly say that EFT tapping is very powerful. And this is, of course, based on my opinion. I'm speaking for myself, my own point of view, but I have noticed how it's releasing energy blocks in me.
Yeah.
Is that how EFT tapping works? Can you tell us a bit more about it?
It is, yeah, exactly what you said. It's such a powerful technique and it's very easy, very simple. Anyone can do it anywhere. And it doesn't take a whole like 60 minutes or 2 hours.
Hmm.
It takes you 10 to 15 minutes if you've got like a trigger and you can help yourself through that. So what EFT is, it's emotional freedom technique and it connects Chinese medicine, so meridian points on our body that are believed to be storing those life power and life energy,
Right.
together with talking therapy, together with CBT therapy, to
Hmm.
recognize emotions, seeing the emotions, accepting those emotions, and then releasing those emotions. So it works on both ways, so somatically and analytically in a way. So it's such a powerful tool because you combine those two beautiful techniques together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Totally. And you can also adapt it to what works for you in a way, because the way it works is that we are tapping certain points in the body while we are saying or reaffirming certain statements to ourselves. For example, all my dreams come true one by one is my favorite.
That's a good one.
Uh, I am, and then we can tap different areas. So those, just show us quickly, Dominika, what are those areas in the face and body?
Yeah, so the first point, we start with karate point, which is just on the side of the hand. So it's just
Mhm.
here, the fleshy part. You can tap it or massage it, whichever works for you. And then we've got top of the head. You can massage it or tap it. We've got
Mhm.
eyebrows, just at the beginning of eyebrows. We've got
Mhm.
side of the head, just on pulse here, on the
Mhm.
side. You can do it with one hand or two hands, however you wish to. It doesn't have to be two hands.
Okay.
I usually do it with two. Underneath your eye, underneath your eyes here, underneath your nose,
Mhm.
underneath your lip, so on the chin area.
Lower
We've
lip.
got collarbones here, just where the bones are, just here.
Mhm.
And underneath the armpit, so just where the bra is usually, on that.
Mhm.
We also have the wrist area, which is just here, you tap it or massage it. And then we have fingers. So I was taught to squeeze it or tap the areas around your nail here on the side.
I
So we
see.
squeeze all of the fingers, and that's one
Mhm.
round of the whole tapping from beginning to end.
Right. And does it matter in which order we do it?
No, in a way, no, it's more about the releasing all of the points. As long as you do all of the points, that's fine. Ideally in order, because then you won't get lost. And obviously, if
Mhm.
we want to focus on those emotions, we don't want to focus on which point did we forget. So that's why
Of
I
course.
usually do beginning, because you will learn really quickly which points are there, and you just literally go and tap, and you only think about what's necessary, which is the emotions that you want to release.
Right. Okay. Great. And Dominika, can you tell me what are the biggest reasons people don't do tapping? Like what stops us from doing tapping?
What stops us? I would say, oh my, we've got in hypnotherapy, there's this concept of parts. One part of us wants to change, the other part doesn't. And
Right.
sometimes we're in the middle of those parts, like we want to, but we're actually not getting for it. And there's a reason why we don't, because our brain wants us to keep us safe. And sometimes
Yeah, of
why
course.
we're not doing it, it's because we're scared of change. What if we do change? What if the change won't be good for us? What's going
Yeah.
to happen? It's unknown. So
Yes.
sometimes we
What's
those
going to happen as a result of a change, right?
sabotage. We self-sabotage sometimes. So that's why we don't do it.
Okay, okay. And did you ever come across someone's opinion that it just is weird? Like, what is this tapping about?
It looks stupid. So when you tap your
Yeah,
head, it looks like you're like a monkey. Or when you tap here, it looks like you're a monkey. But that's what the monkeys do. They release emotions through their movements.
that
Um,
is fascinating.
But yeah, I did a workshop at school actually. I was doing workshop with children from the age of 7 to 12, and they did think it was quite weird. But after some time, they looked at all of them did it. At the beginning, they were like not knowing what to do, how to do it. That looks stupid. Like,
Mm,
how are we gonna do something like that? But then they got
mm,
used to it, and their emotions kind of like slow down because this releases cortisol, which is stress response, stress level, stress hormone as well. So then they became more calm because obviously children
mm.
are quite like their behavior is out there. So
Yeah,
they slow
totally.
down and they calm down, which was an impressive thing to see. So yeah,
Mhm.
people do think it's weird, but once they start doing it, they will see the benefits of those
And how
movements
quickly can you see those benefits?
straight away. Straight away. So sometimes it takes me, so if it depends on the trigger, because if I get triggered, I do EFT on the trigger. Why did I get triggered? What do I feel? I want to process those emotions instead of coming back and distracting myself and forgetting about it. So sometimes it takes me 10 to 20 minutes. Sometimes after those three statements at the beginning, so you need to create statements on the karate point as a startup. There's the whole procedure as well, how to do it. And yeah, so sometimes I see it in the first 5 minutes that my emotions are actually resolved or slightly my perspective changes. That's another benefit of it. It's like the problem changes it. Like the problem is changed with a different perspective.
Shifts. Yes, the perspectives
Yeah,
shift. The
exactly.
problem seems to be smaller and smaller and having less and less impact on us, right?
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
how I experienced it anyway. So I just want to say something here that to me feels very important. And I believe it might be important for everyone who's watching this or listening to this. Um, we are not aware of the fact that when we experience things, when we go through our life, when we meet different people, when we get up in the morning, go out, and every single little situation in our life is an opportunity for reinforcement of positive or a limiting belief, right? So, depending on how we interpret a situation, we might experience certain emotions on the back of it. And the chances that we experience something very strongly are high when something similar or the same thing happened to us in the past. So whenever we go, for example, trying to get into a bus, but the bus is full and we don't get on it, or if we're stuck in the traffic jam and someone's being rude to us, the second, third time that happens, we actually subconsciously create a memory of that event. And the memory of that event is manifested in our body as an emotion. That emotion, there is a thought, of course, first, and the belief that is formed on the back of it, but then there is the emotion. And this emotion can be stored in our body for years. And we don't realize, 90% of people don't realize that in our body, we have stagnant, stuck energy. And we have memories from the past stored in our body. And what that can do is it can actually manifest later on as an illness or physical disability. So there are different forms of releasing emotions from our body. One of them is yoga, for example. Another one might be somatic yoga or Pilates. And another one is EFT tapping. And it's the way you know it works for me is that whenever I start yawning, when I tap, I feel like it's coming out of my body. So I sometimes, out of the blue, when I start tapping, like 1-2 minutes into a tapping, I get this massive yawn. And I had a lady telling me once, who's a friend and also a hypnotherapist, you know it works because you start yawning like crazy or you start crying, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that's where your nervous system regulates. A nervous system is responsible for yawning, for those automatic responses. So some people might even burp or have some physiological responses. Correct. Yeah, that's really good that you've got those.
Exactly. So guys, this is so important to know that we cannot live our life with tons of stuck emotions in our body. You know, it can manifest as a difficulty breathing, difficulty pain in the hip or pain in the leg, or you name it. It's very often it's due to the fact we didn't release negative emotions from our body. So I personally highly recommend EFT tapping. But another question I want to ask you, Dominika, is what are, to your best knowledge, what are the 4 biggest reasons why we should all do it, why we should all try it?
Well, it's definitely a very easy technique and very simple to learn, and everyone has hands in a way to do this tapping. So I would say the first one is that everyone experiencing emotions every single day, and it's like daily cleaning. So it would be good if we all would take some time for ourselves, even every day or even every other day, to do this tapping, because that helps us with everything else in our lives. If we do release all of those stuck emotions and clear those through simple tapping, through simple words, through simple sentences, that will really help us. So that's the one thing, is that it's really an emotional regulation tool for everyday life, for every single stresses, for or nervous system stresses that we are experiencing every single day through social media, through TV, through people, radio, advertising, or stress at work, or anything that happens. it's really important to like clear this out a little bit.
Yeah, sure. And what is the biggest transformative or the most impactful story that you've seen or a case study in yourself or in your client where EFT tapping really shifted things for the other person?
I think I can only speak from my perspective,
Mhm.
and it would be on me because obviously I see how my clients get the positive benefits of the whole therapy. They do it themselves, but I think it was very beneficial for me to learn this first to give to other people because it kind of saved my relationship as well because I
Mhm.
felt like I was stuck in this cycle that you mentioned. At the beginning, it was a vicious cycle of me feeling a certain way, and I couldn't get out of it. And I was always having these short-term relationships in a way, and I kind of felt like I want to stop this. Like I feel like at some point I need to stop this and understand why I'm doing this. And it's all about also learning about myself through tapping,
Mm.
through releasing all of the most emotion points, through repetition. There was a lot of repetition going on.
Yeah.
But it took me a few weeks to release that, to resolve it. And now I feel so much better about my relationship with myself, with the way I am, with the way I think, and understand my relationship. And I feel like that was such a powerful thing to go through myself because I can
Mhm.
only speak from my perspective. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it was very, very, it's such a powerful tool for whatever issue, emotional issue, or even physical, because it can release pain, physical pain as well. It's
Yeah.
a very good tool. Yeah.
Can I ask, of course, if you feel only if you feel comfortable sharing, what seemed to have been the issue with your relationship that you struggled with
I
back
think it,
then?
yeah, I think it was the trust, because I didn't trust myself. And I
Mhm.
felt like it's such a cliche to say, like, you have to love yourself before you love someone else.
Yeah,
Everyone, but
totally.
actually, I did finally understood this. So you can know things, but then it comes to you and you're like, oh my gosh, that is actually true. So I was
Mhm.
working on my boundaries, on my
Yeah,
acceptance, on my self-love, and I focused on myself. And that's why through tapping, I I'm able to love someone else and I'm able to trust someone else and I'm able to set the boundaries. Obviously, I'm not perfect at this, and no one will be, but you can be as best as you can and be better every day and work through this every single day because it's again,
yeah,
we're just in a process and we're just human beings and it's
yeah.
okay to make those mistakes. But for me,
Mhm.
it was the boundaries. And again, being a woman, we are learned to be good girls. We can't say no to people. And for me, it was the boundaries and the ability to say no if I wanted to.
Mm.
I think
Mm.
that's a big
It
one.
gives you such a freedom, doesn't it? When you learn how to say no and you put yourself first and you start putting yourself and your value system first, your needs, your desires, instead of constantly prioritizing the needs of the other person, let's say in your, especially in a romantic relationship. I work a lot with people who struggle with healthy relationship dynamics. So I know what you're talking about. This inability to say no, especially in women, can cause lots of issues further down the line.
Yeah.
Definitely. Um, Great. And can you give us an example of a phrase or I want to say phrase, yes, that you repeat to yourself that has improved your relationship with yourself or with others? Just to
Yes.
give people a
Mhm.
bit better ability to imagine how it works.
Yeah, so I usually do it at the beginning of practice. So I usually write down what am I feeling. So I need to sit down first and put my hand on the heart or like whatever how you do it, and then think about the emotion, and then I build a sentence based on what I feel and what the situation is about. And I usually tap the karate point, which is the most powerful beginners at the beginning of the whole practice. And then I repeat. For example, I tap a meridian point and I say, even though I feel sad. And even though I struggle to say no, I still choose to love and accept myself the way I am. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the sentence, that sentence that I usually say. You can say it 3 times or modify it in a way
Mm-hmm.
to say something similar.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great. And is it important to add I still love and accept myself? Does it neutralize the feeling? Is that how it works?
So at the beginning, it's important. So I was looking up, I was looking at it at the beginning when I was learning about it, how many people are repeating the negatives in a way. They're not negatives, they are how you feel right now. So I feel
Yeah.
sad, I feel
Yes, yes.
angry. And it's so important to repeat that actually, to understand how you feel, because many of us go into those affirmations straight away, like, oh, I'm loved, I'm attracting, wealth and happiness and love. But actually, without acknowledging how I feel, these are kind of pointless to go straight away to affirmation. So I usually start with how I feel right now. I feel sad, I feel lonely, I feel, whole in my heart. And then you imagine how you feel. And you can even give it a color or a shape of emotion that you feel. Like, I feel heavy stones in my heart.
And this is, and for those who don't understand why we do that, is so we can reconnect with the feeling that is inside us, so we can reaffirm that what we feel is real,
Yeah.
it's not an imagination, or it's not fake just because somebody else doesn't acknowledge it. It doesn't mean it does not exist. It is real and is inside us, and it's looking for attention. So we are naming that feeling. We are saying, even though and then whatever is true to us, I still choose to, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, fantastic. Okay. I want to ask you one last question, which is, what are the 3 or 4 steps anyone can do today, anyone can take towards a healthier mental sorry, I'll cut this out. Dominika, I want to ask you last question, which is, what is mental well-being to you? And what are the 4 steps anyone can take towards mental well-being?
Yeah, mental well-being for me is something that is so necessary for everyone to learn about. It's something to always learn from. Yeah, so there's so many things you can do. So for me, it works the best, the EFT tapping. But for example, what works best for someone who's just a beginner, it's just sitting down with your emotions and writing them down. It worked for me as at least so well, because once you learn about yourself, you need to know what's going on with you, what's happening, what emotions you're feeling. I did have issues with even naming those emotions at the beginning. So don't be discouraged if you don't feel anything or you can't describe what you're feeling. And it's okay to just put anything on a paper, because paper doesn't, like, it, you can just pour anything in there. But after some time you will learn. So I would recommend running a journal, like have a piece of paper or a notebook and just write your thoughts every day. That works so well. And also emotion regulation as well.
Okay, so mental well-being is crucial. It's part of us, and we all have to look after it. And this is what this podcast is about. Dominika, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can our viewers and listeners find you?
Yeah, so I run my practice called Relief Therapies. You can find me on Instagram. I've got a YouTube channel called the same, Relief Therapies, or my name, Dominika Kalinowska. I've got 2 YouTube channels. You can also find me on Amazon. I've recently published a journal that if you want to learn about yourself, it's called 365 Journal, Reflections Journal. You can find on Amazon.
Mhm.
I'm happy to provide any links. But yeah, if you need a one-to-one hypnotherapy or EFT session, I'm more than happy to help you.
Great. And I'll make sure I include all the links to Dominika's accounts and the book on Amazon underneath this video. Thank you so
Amazing.
much for today,
Thank you.
and I speak to you soon. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.